Alright. Hey, Zeta, could you turn a light on?
Yeah, 1 moment.
Alright. Let's go, children.
Yo, bro, there was a slight view.
I'm not sure how much light is needed for these.
Alright, so before we begin the review, just wanted to introduce our new member of the Google Hangout reviews, Zeta.
You can come into frame now.
She's
turn on
in
your camera.
frame, idiot.
You can turn on your camera now.
Her camera is on. We just got finished watching Krampus The Reckoning, which tells the story of Zoe, who is a strange little girl with only one not-so-imaginary friend who happens to be the terrifying demon companion of St. Nicholas the Krampus, unleashed upon a small town to punish the naughty people at Christmastime. No one is safe. So...
no negatives so far.
yeah.
No negatives at all, which is
So-
usually, we have a lot of negatives. Like, with the first two we watched, there was a lot
They
of
were-
negatives.
including the sequel. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Zeta, you don't know, but trust me.
Trust us.
You
that
don't want to
was
watch
absolute
that one.
Dog ass.
First,
Dog ass.
first positive, Krampus.
Krampus.
What do you think, Zeta?
Let me get headphones on because I actually do have quite a bit.
So what do you think, Krampus? We can't hear you.
We cannot hear you at all.
We
Zeta.
can't hear you.
We cannot hear you.
Better?
Yeah.
Better.
Great. Alright, so what I was saying was, you guys see Krampus as like the biggest positive of the movie. It's the opposite for me. He was the biggest negative for me. Throughout the entire movie, you guys are just praising it. You're like, oh, this is so great. But I really didn't like it. My main problem with it being, he is very out of place. Not only that, but the CGI used to put him there is very subpar at best. And it would have been a lot better to just use practical effects or, actually have someone dress up as Krampus. But because they use CGI, there aren't a lot of things that make him really blend into his scenarios. So it looked really crappy, and just generally it wasn't a big thing for me.
I mean, as much as it did look...
wow.
as much as cool as it did look, and as much as we praised it, there were some moments where I'm like, this kind of looks silly looking. Like the part where he just runs at the guy, the girl, and grabs her by the head and pushes her down. It looked kind of silly when he was running.
That was like, what?
Yeah. The animations for him were very choppy. It really.
Yeah.
The small little head tilts and everything. It doesn't shadow correctly. A lot of stuff is wrong with it. If you weren't paying attention or something, you'd be able to be like, oh, this is fine. He belongs there. But I'm really picky about stuff like that because I'm actually really big on the practical effects. So when you come up here with a CGI, not only do I feel that it is lazy, but it takes away from a lot of the fear factor of a lot of horror movies. So yeah, but my opinion, it was terrible.
Yeah, and we respect your opinion, just as long as you respect ours, because we're not negative around here. Okay, so the second positive, the quality. What do y'all think?
Yes, so much better.
I mean, you should have seen the first two. I know you can't tell if this was better than the first two because you haven't seen the first two.
My phone is at 69%, everyone. My phone is at 69%.
But it was crappy as hell. This was way better. But what did you think of the quality?
Well, I don't have anything to reference into, but it alone, its general quality, it was okay. I didn't see anything wrong with it. It wasn't like it was shot off of an iPhone or anything. And it looked like people actually like put in time and effort to get like the actual lighting correct, to be sure to like actually pan the characters correctly when they were talking. And it was an okay thing. Like I wouldn't say it's exceptional cinematography or anything like that, but they did a really good job. You know where everything is, and it's pretty clear picture.
Okay, so that's settled.
Okay.
The third.
I enjoyed this. This movie is definitely a try it.
Yeah. We're not finished, Evan. The
I'm
third.
just letting them know.
The third positive, the music. I, for one, think they got it right because remember in the second one, remember that particular scene where Krampus goes under the bed. You're trying to make it look scary. You're playing freaking romance music. That doesn't set right at all. But I'm glad that they knew what they were doing with the music in this film. But what did you think, Zeta?
As far as the music goes, I feel like there could have been a bit more variety. But otherwise, they were able to put it in the correct situations. I'm not too sure about the romance scene. But as far as like general horror scenes and like kills and everything like that, the music was very good. It was played at the right times. It like picked up when it needed to, and it was fitting music for a Krampus movie.
Yeah. Okay, so that's settled.
Indeed.
Props. The bird.
The dead bird.
The dead bird. That kind of. It looked like it was burnt at the beginning. It looked like it was burnt, but yeah, it kind of did look like a real dead bird.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Zeta? What about the props?
Does that include like the actual when they were killed, like, or is that
more like the movie props, like things they would use and
everything was what you would expect it to be. It didn't look like anything was like at place. And as far as the dead bird goes, I absolutely loved it. It does make me a bit confused as to why there's like a dead bird and why he's picking with it. But I guess they were trying to like kind of settle in the fact that Zoe is meant to be like a very bad character and that she's like behind a lot of the stuff for that. So it sets a bit of foreshadowing in my opinion. But overall, the prop itself was very nicely done.
Yeah. So blood effects. In the first two Krampus movies, the first one, it started out like crap with the whole snow coloring. It kind of got better in Krampus 2, but still that movie was terrible. But in this one, it got so much better. But then again, what did you think of the blood effects?
Well, there wasn't like a lot of the flowing blood or whatever, anything like that. As far as it goes, though, it was fairly accurate to what you would assume if someone was burned alive or any of the other scenarios that were given. So it was very nice. I didn't see any discrepancies with it. It was overall really good. I wouldn't know much about
Hold up. Wait. Evan, please put your face in the camera.
My face is in the camera, damn it.
No,
even though it's like half out.
Alright, continue.
Yeah,
y'all can see my Batman logos.
I didn't see a problem with them.
Okay, so CGI.
Terrible.
SG. SG.
I don't know. I mean, the Krampus, in my opinion, kind of looks badass. I don't care if it's CGI or not. But I'm sorry, but that silly running scene, that will always be a little nitpick of mine where he just... Alright, practical effects.
Good. Your opinion, Zeta?
I like them. If this is like the actual bodies and stuff, then yeah, it was great. I couldn't really tell the difference if they were like actual burnt bodies. Well, some parts of it were kind of confusing. For Rachel and Lamar's practical effects, it was very overdone, I feel. Like, the blood was in places it couldn't end up. Lamar was just bathed in blood and whatever, and you couldn't see where it was coming from. It was smeared in every different direction. There was no attention to detail. And overall, I feel like it was either a really rushed makeup job to try and like add some dramatic effects, but it was not my favorite among them. I did enjoy Clay's scene. The effects for that one were my personal favorite of the movie, but that's just me.
Okay. Next one, Zoe. How is Zoe?
Savage as all hell.
Yeah, she seemed a bit over the top for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Zeta?
I felt like they were trying too hard to push the image of Zoe being, you know, evil, like diabolical little mastermind behind everything.
Yeah, and it seems
like a lot
like
of questions for me that I still have after viewing the whole thing, especially like why was Zoe physically there? If she was dead, what was happening?
Well, to me, I think Krampus was actually tooling with her, because it would make sense if she were to unleash Krampus, kill like Zoe, her mother, her family. It would make sense why Krampus would come after her, considering he punishes bad people, and it would make sense that he would use her sister to tool with her.
That's where it doesn't make sense, though, because everyone else could see Zoe. And as far as her bringing Krampus to kill her sister and everything, I don't think Krampus was the one who did that. Because he kills bad people, but her family was genuinely nice. I think Rachel herself committed arson, killed her actual family, and it isn't until like afterwards that she starts paying for it. Now, it still leaves the question why other people are getting killed as per Zoe's request. Because, again, she's seen as a physical thing. She was in multiple things other than in Rachel's life. And there's just no explanation given for that. It's all around confusing. And where does Zoe go afterwards? Like, what happens to her?
She did.
Get out the hospital. So, it does get
well,
at the end, where it shows, like, Rachel having a whole
didn't the gravestone at the end make sense? Like, it said Zoe Weaver.
That's fine and everything. I'm talking about the Zoe that was alive, the Zoe that was in the hospital, the Zoe that had talked to the doctor, who's interacted with all these people, who's had foster parents, who got brought into a case. It's not like she just wasn't there. So despite her grave being there, the grave said from 1854,
from 1984.
It said that she died in 1912. It's not 1912 while they're doing the thing. So despite what's on the grave, there was a Zoe 20 years later. There was still a Zoe who was interacting with other people. What happened to her? Does no one question it at all? Like, what's going on there?
I mean, they were pretty... I can see where you're coming from, because they were pretty much just focused on what happened to Dr. Stewart and not what happened to Zoe. Where's Zoe?
But Zoe was such a big part of the movie in itself. She's like the first character we're shown. She's the person who's pulling all the strings, apparently. And despite that, we don't know what any of that was. And like I said, it was confusing more when Rachel starts having these dreams and they start getting like crossovers with like reality or whatever, where she sees Lamar on the table. And you start to wonder, oh, was it the stereotypical, oh, it was all a dream sort of plot. But I mean, it leaves a lot of loose ends, is my main thing.
Alright, so something Evan's gonna love to talk about, the sex scenes.
Oh, yeah. Woo! They were the greatest thing I've ever seen.
They were great. Zeta?
And that's not my...
Definite positive. Woo-hoo!
Alright, next...
Come on, give your opinion on it.
She doesn't have to. Next positive.
I don't have anything to say about that. It's not something that I know a lot about. I wouldn't know what makes a sex
pacing.
scene.
How was the pacing of the movie? I think the pacing was pretty good. Do you, Evan?
The pacing was fairly okay, considering what all they were trying to put into the movie and all of that. I'm not really sure what else could have been done. So everything was orderly. You knew where things were going, and it was okay pacing. Like, of course, the movie could have been like longer to tie up some of the loose ends I've been talking about, but for what was given, it was generally good pacing.
Okay, so
Indeed.
the next, some likable characters. Now, the first two Krampus films are known for creating non-likable characters and boring characters. Were there any non-likable characters in this movie that y'all pointed out?
Joe. Definitely Joe.
Joe was an asshole. But what do you think, Zeta?
Non-likable characters, I didn't like Zoe. It felt like her character was really forced, and it generally just, I couldn't really resonate well with the character. Joe was okay. I was fine with Joe until I learned he was like a pedophile or whatever. But Joe was genuinely a nice character at first. I was cool with that.
Alright, next positive, the ending. The plot twist.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely. Definitely.
Just doesn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. It was like a rushed ending. Like, they thought of all these cool kills for the movie, and they're like, dang, how are we going to wrap this up, though? Like, that's what it felt like to me. Like, the ending could have been a lot better. A lot of things, like I said, were left unanswered. The whole dream sequence thing going on with Rachel was very confusing and made absolutely no sense. The whole, Rachel killed her family. She doesn't remember it, though. So it's just so, oh God, there's so much wrong with it.
So, a mutual, the acting.
Okay.
Better than the crappy other two that we watched, man.
Some people were good, like the doctor had a really good way he played his role, and then some people were downright terrible. Like Rachel's first parents, her first foster parents, their acting sucked. And there were quite a few instances where the acting absolutely sucked. Some scenes with Rachel, you could tell it was like being really forced. She wasn't making the correct facial expressions for what she was saying, and it was just so. It was dry. It was you couldn't really get into it. You could tell, I'm watching a movie. Dang, it wasn't giving me the same emotion that you would get if it was like a regular conversation or something like that.
I agree. I mean, some of the acting did seem pretty off. But hey, I mean, hey Evan, remember, at least it's better than that.
No, it was not. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats the disabled kid flipping the guy off at the police station.
Okay.
From Krampus 2.
Okay, so it's time to get to our ratings. I give it 4 stars.
Same.
Evan?
4 stars.
Zeta?
4 for me as well.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I wouldn't watch it again, but the watch was not a complete waste of time.
So, for me, it would be. Try it. Evan?
Try it.
Zeta?
I won't try it.
So, skip it.
Skip it. It's not worth it. Unless you're trying to, get rid of the foul taste of Krampus 1 and 2.
Oh, trust me, it's better than that one.
Yeah.
Once you've had something so bad, it's just a nice, refreshing glass of water.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, Krampus the Christmas Devil absolutely sucked ass.
No. The sequel sucked ass.
All of it sucked ass.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, guys, that is all for our Krampus The Reckoning review. Thank you for tuning in with me, Nathan J. Monso.
Evan Michael Grayson.
Zeta.
Jada.
And this is the Google Hangout reviews signing out. And
Peace out, everybody.
And remember, he knows you've been naughty.
And he sees you all the time.
Shut up, Michael.